Okay, I think we're live. So hi, everybody, and welcome. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Amy Rosner. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and integrative health coach, and I am a brain researcher by training, basic research. My big mission these days is to help people live healthier, happier lives based on what we actually know from the research community, from the good research, and get away from the bad research that we have been just bombarded with for the last, 60 years or so. And it goes hand in hand with the toxicity we've been pouring into our world in the last, 60, 70 years. We've actually put more than 50,000 new chemicals in our environment in that time. And we don't know what they do to us in terms of health. We just don't. There's almost no data on health impacts from that. And the very little there is for acute exposure, not for long-term, smaller exposure to these chemicals. And there are a lot of different ways we can get toxicity from our environments, but there are some really big ones. And one of the really big ones that I started talking about in one of my other videos is through nutrition and other your water, air, whatever you take into your body. There are some things we can do to help with that, and some things that we can't, but there's a lot more that we can do than you might expect. And so if you haven't seen any of those videos, I encourage you to check those out. There are going to be more as well. I'm on a 90-day, I'm 3 weeks into a 90-day detox program. And if it's any good, I'll let you know what it is, so you can go check it out yourself. But there's almost no research on any of this, so we don't know what any kind of long-term chronic exposure to chemicals does to us, and what to do about that. How can we get away from that problem? What health impacts can arise from that, and what can we do to mitigate those impacts? And so that's what my big mission these days is. And I have a horse in the race. I feel like, I'm 53 now, so I've got, a lot of long-term, small bits of exposure to a lot of different things that can't be good for me, and have been having a number of health concerns like most of us seem to, that are not diagnosable. They're not diseases, they're not big bad problems, but they're just maybe irritations or things that we think we should be able to do something about, but we just can't for some reason. And so, why do I have hypothyroid symptoms when my numbers are in the normal range, right? So, just things that don't fit, that are off. And I think that there's good anecdotal evidence, even though there's not good basic evidence, basic science research, showing that toxins may be at the root of a lot of that stuff, if not all of it. So it's a huge concern to me. And I want to, bring all the information I can to, my tribe here on my channel, so that you guys have all the information that I can get to you to help yourselves as much as possible. And so I'm doing interviews with people that are really in the know in certain areas that I am not an expert in, and so that you can get their information. And one of those that I have today is Dawn Oliphant. And Dawn, thank you so much for being here with us.
You're welcome.
It's always awesome to talk to you. But right now, I'm just excited to get the word out to people. I've been, a proponent of cleaning up our home environments for a long time, since like 30 years ago or so. I remember hearing that our homes were more polluted than the outside air. And that's I thought, scary. How can that be? Like, how is that even possible? And so I, right away, I started moving to, non-toxic product. Anything that had an ad on TV, I got rid of,
Right.
And really cleaned up my cleaning products. We don't think we need to clean up our cleaning products, but as it turns out, that is one of the biggest ways that really bad toxins get into our bodies, and in many cases, if not all, stay there for long periods of time, the rest of our lives. Our bodies do a number of things. They're amazing at keeping us healthy, They'll do a number of things to be able to store those toxins until they can be detoxed, or keep storing them if there are just too many over time to be able to do anything with. So I wanted you to, talk a little bit about, what is the risk that we have? Why are our indoor environments more polluted than our outdoor ones? What is it? What's the problem there?
Well, thank you for having me on on this today. I just want to say thanks for that. And I've been researching and going through this process for about just a little over 10 years, which was shocking to me when I had younger children, right? So we want to make sure our homes are safe. We try to do everything we can to, we lock our doors, we lock our windows, we really make our home the safe place to be. But one thing that I came to realize during my research and over these 10 years is a lot of times we buy stuff and we bring them into our home because they're convenient, or that you made a note to that you see on TV. You're like, oh, well, that looks pretty cool, or that does that. And we don't, and we don't really think that through a lot because we just maybe impulse, just buy that on the whim, or that we see it at the stores or something that our friends told us. So just realizing some of those things that we actually have the power of and control of to bring into our home, we just need to take a step back and say, okay, wait a minute. Is this really what's best for our home and what I should be bringing into our house? And as you alluded to, cleaning products are so simple, but it's a huge thing to have in our house because we're cleaning with it. We're spraying it in the air. It falls to our floor. We're washing our clothes with it. So something that seems so minute and not such a big deal is actually one of the biggest impacts that we can have in cleaning up our home environment that we have total control over, right? So sometimes we buy a house that already has carpet in it. We don't have control of the carpet, right? Unless we rip it out and they have non-toxic carpet. Mm-hmm. Same thing with your paint. Same thing with your couches, right? Those are bigger, more expensive investments and things that take a little bit more research than your cleaning products, your skincare products, right? That you're bringing into your home. You have more control over those.
And it's easier to replace those because they tend to be lower ticket items. So, it'd be hard for me to replace the flooring in my house, for example.
Yes.
But when I when I have a house built, I can see, oh, do I want to have this tile, or do I want to have this carpet, or so you can make a choice there. But that's something like cleaning products, even if you're not, changing everything out all at once, it's easy to start, cleaning those things up. But so how can cleaning products not be clean?
So cleaning products, it's interesting. So if you look at the back of a cleaning product, and if it tells you to wear a mask or wear gloves, you need to stop and think.
Or call poison control if ingested.
Or call poison control. Why would I need to wear gloves or a mask to use this to clean my house that my family and my pets, people forget about their pets now, that are going to breathe in and breathe out every day? That's the first thing you need to be concerned of. If I need to wear gloves or a mask or call poison control, I probably should not be using this in my home.
Awesome. I mean, so rule number one, become a label reader. Read the labels, read for cautions, right? Read for anything that alludes to there being toxic, or now they're actually putting carcinogens, labeling carcinogens in products as well. Sometimes it says in California, this has been acknowledged to cause cancer. I've seen that a number of times.
Yes.
Those are big clues right there, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. And, even some of your non-toxic products, that there's some really great products out there as well. They don't want you consuming them because they have been tested not in the human body. So I don't want people, to get hung up on the ones with poison control or consumable, because like I said, something organic or non-toxic, they still don't want you consuming it because it hasn't been tested.
Thinking it's different than cleaning with it.
Thinking it's right. But if it says you need gloves, or here's a big one, Dr. Amy, you make sure that your area is highly ventilated when you clean.
Good one.
Now
Yeah.
you're in a shower, you need to turn your shower fan on, but it's not ventilated. And think to yourself, if I need this completely ventilated to clean it, what is it now doing when I'm in the shower and I have the steam and
Yeah.
it's now on the walls?
Good
You're
point.
breathing all of that back into your body as you did when you cleaned it. And I'm assuming when people take a shower, they don't have a mask on. Right?
I would think that
But
would defeat the purpose.
that would defeat the purpose. But if you're cleaning your shower walls with something that you had to apply with gloves and a mask, that is still on your shower walls. So when
Right.
that steam comes, you're reliving and rebreathing those chemicals into your lungs.
Just because
That's
it dries up on the wall doesn't mean that it's
it's
not
not
still
there.
there. Yeah.
And that's concerning.
Yeah.
And those were the things that I have just been, finding over the last 10 years when I made the switch. I had a son, was very young, and kind of came across this information and realized maybe some of the aerosol stuff that I was using was causing a flare up in his asthma. And that's really what started me on this journey to kind of research things. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Why do I need gloves to apply something to my house that's
Right.
going to stay? And a lot of those cleaning products, they tell you to clean with it and then use soap and water to take it off. Well,
Wow.
if you just use soap and water
Yeah.
to begin with on some of the things, right? Why
Right.
would you need the cleaning product on there anyway?
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
good point. And I like that
didn't
you
even,
brought up asthma because, I have a lot of clients that come in with asthma, with allergies, with, various autoimmune problems. And, it's
Mhm.
amazing how many of those people are obsessive cleaners. and
Yes.
and their kids are now having the same problems, maybe different types of autoimmune problems, but still autoimmune, allergies, asthma. And they're now putting their kids on medication, just a few years old. They're on medication because they can't breathe, because mom is
Mhm.
obsessively cleaning the house all day, every day with
Yep.
really toxic products. So one of the things that I help those people do, number one, is stop feeling like you have to clean everything, because if you don't have a lot of those germs, then your immune system suffers. From a biological
Right.
standpoint, you have to have, I remember my parents, I was telling somebody else's story today, I would bring home whatever illnesses were at school because they're little germ incubators, right?
Right.
And my dad would try to stay far away. He'd be like throwing us words of encouragement from across the room, right? But he wouldn't want to get close to us. He caught everything that came in that house. And mom was like, oh, nope, I have designer jeans, I don't get sick. And she would just take care of us, and she never got sick ever. And so, just one of many examples I could give you, that
Yes.
if you try to over clean,
Right. That's the
where
key. Over clean.
cleaning is not a good
Yes.
thing. Under cleaning is also not a good thing.
Yeah.
But you got to find that sweet spot where you're not
Right.
living in filth, and there isn't, extra, microbial stuff and,
Right.
and chemical toxins and stuff. But you can't be substituting the chemical toxins for the biological ones and consider yourself safe, right?
Exactly.
So how
Exactly.
can people start doing that? What are some good things that what are some things that you've noticed as someone who deals with this all day, every day, and has for the last 10 years, and helps people, get past this problem? What are some big things that you want people to know right now that they may not know? What are some big things you notice
Okay.
that people just don't realize, where that they should be more concerned about this than they are?
So one thing that I try to tell people, it's not all or nothing. So some people think, "Oh, I need green cleaners, but I can't afford it." It's so overwhelming. So what I
By
try to
green, you mean
tell
environmentally friendly, right?
environmentally
Okay.
friendly,
Hmm.
correct. So what I try to tell them is I always want them to start out with their laundry product first, because laundry products were with us all day long in our clothes. right? And so I think when you and I had a conversation once before, you had mentioned the only time we don't have our clothes on usually is when we're in the shower, right? So other than that, you have your clothes on, which are washed in a certain detergent. When you go to bed, you're sleeping in sheets that are washed in a detergent. You're laying your head on a pillowcase. And so when you're laying, you're smelling, not only is it touching your face, but you're smelling that detergent over and over and all night long. So what I try to tell people, if they have allergies, and people think a lot of the allergies are just caused from the trees and stuff outside, but like you had alluded to, it can be contributing the stuff that you have inside. So one small step that I always tell people to just start it is change your laundry detergent.
That's
And they're like,
awesome.
well, I get free and clear. I get this and that. And I said, okay, but it's free and clear of maybe the 5 certain toxins that are not in other laundry detergents. It's not free
That's a
and
good point.
clear
It's a
of,
continuum of toxicity. It's not an all or nothing.
yes.
Yeah.
So if you could just start out with just switching over like your laundry products, that is huge. Cause like I said, that's something that's with you 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Right.
towels when you come out of the shower, your excuse me, I got an itch, your clothes, your sheets, your dish towels, right? It's
Yeah.
with you the whole time. So if you can just remove that and find a brand, which, I can recommend a brand too, if anybody wants to know, just, I can tell you what brand I've been using for 10 years, but find a brand that you really like that's going to eliminate those stuff for you. And that's an easy switch because you're having to buy laundry detergent anyway. Right. So
Right.
when it comes time for you to do that, you don't need the 10-pound box from Costco because it's cheaper.
Right.
Now, cheaper money wise, but not cheaper on your health. And we talk about eczema, right? And what happens sometimes when people get eczema, the doctors give them a cream to place on top of their rash or their eczema, and they're covering up the problem. Well, that's not even what is causing the eczema.
Right.
And so just to me, the easy switch, one thing, if you could do one thing today or in the next week, I would say switch your laundry out.
That
It
is
makes a
awesome. And not
huge
just the
difference.
detergent. There are some other things like if we watch TV with commercials, we feel like we need to have a dozen different laundry products that we use every time we do the laundry, right?
Right.
And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, we can get by with one, or, just decide what's important for us to be using. And that's something that you can help people with too, right? If they want to see like what's going
Absolutely.
to be the best approach to doing that. And it's amazing how you can actually save a lot of money
Oh,
by moving to greener, ways of doing laundry, just because you're not buying into all this hype, and you're not buying all
right.
this nasty stuff that, in multiple products.
Yeah, this scoop
So
that does this, and this scoop you
right,
do this, and you got this, and then yeah, you don't really need all that. And
right,
I have customers that say, well, I love the smell and I love it to be soft, so I use these 5 different things. And I said, but how miserable have you been with allergies the last 4 weeks?
right. Or how
How
much
much
money have you
money have you
spent?
spent
There we go. Yeah.
on buying,
Yeah.
shots, allergy
Yeah.
shots, or have you
Right.
been buying over the counter medications? Have
Right.
you not been able to go to the park
Yeah.
because you can't breathe?
Yeah, or
So,
because your kid can't breathe and you can't go to the park and have fun and improve your immune systems by being out in the sun and the fresh air and
right,
moving around, moving your lymph through your body, detoxifying, all that. There's so much we get from just doing something that seems so kind of frivolous almost, as going to the park with our kid, like
right,
that's one of the best things you could ever do for your immune system. And yet how often are we doing things like that? But we're so concerned about cleaning up all the stuff at home, when really we'd be a lot better off leaving some of the stuff, at home. Don't clean
right.
so much and go out to the park more, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think laundry
Absolutely.
is a great place to start.
Mhm. And
There,
it's easy.
it is easy, and that's the thing, is that I really like anything that, if I don't want to feel like I have to spend a few $100s on new products to replace old
No.
products that I just throw away. I'd like to be able to like use things up, and then as I need to replace them, be able to replace them. And it's really cool to know that sometimes you can get away with not replacing some of those things that, maybe one of the, cleaning agents that you can help people with has multiple functions. So you don't need to be buying a bunch
Yes,
of stuff. You can make do with less stuff. Now you have more room under your sink for stuff. You don't have to put
absolutely.
child, protective stuff everywhere. You can,
Mhm.
if your kid gets in there, it's not going to be the end of the world. Maybe a self-correcting error, but it's not going to be the end of the world.
Well,
Um,
and on that, your child can help you clean because
yes, good
now,
point.
because you would never hand a child a bottle of the blue formula,
Yeah,
right? Because unless they have gloves or a mask on, you're not going to have them use that to clean the windows
right.
because that's too dangerous.
Yeah.
So some of these greener optional products, like you said, an all-purpose product that you can make different bottles of solutions for different types of cleaning in the house, you now involve your children
Hmm.
in cleaning that up. And so that's what I did those many years ago when I kind of switched over. My little guy was 2, I had a 4-year-old, and they utilize that to clean. So we all clean as a
Nice.
family,
Nice.
like once a week, once every 2 weeks, we do different stuff. We don't overdo it by any means whatsoever. Usually the floors, get a little scuffed up. I have all tile. I even try to clean that. I got a floor cleaner, and of course it comes with a bottle of stuff, that they give you for the floor cleaner. I'm like, oh no, we are not using that. And we've been out of that that smelling world for so long that when
Oh,
we
the artificial smells that they put into stuff.
yes.
I cannot go
Ooh,
down that aisle of the grocery
no,
store. I can't breathe when I go down that aisle. I
no.
can't breathe. I
And
literally cannot breathe.
the interesting thing is I have teenage boys. And if they happen to go to the store with me, which is not often, but they do, we walk by it and they both make a comment about how terrible that aisle smells.
Yeah,
And
it's
they're teenage
horrendous.
boys. It's horrendous. And we've
Yeah,
just been away from it for so long. And
yeah,
and I get thinking to myself, gosh, we used to live in that. Like we used to
yeah,
breathe that
yeah.
smell day in and day out. And we haven't had to do that in over 10 years. And
And
so,
that's a good point. When you go down that aisle of the store and you're breathing all those fumes in, that's what you're breathing into your lungs, and your pets and your kids and everybody, you're breathing
yes,
into their lungs 24/7 at home if you
at
take any of
home,
those cleaning products home with you. Yeah,
yes,
that's a visual right there. That's I
mm-hmm.
love that. That's really good. So,
Yep.
yeah, so that's laundry. So what are some other easy wins that people can do once they clean up their laundry detergent? What else can they do? What are some other really common sorts of products that people use to clean in their homes that are really toxic and people need to get away from?
So a real big one that you may not think about is your dish soap. So what you use to wash your dishes that we're cleaning them, whether you hand wash them, you clean them, you think they're clean, but you actually leaving that agent, whatever that chemical agent is on your dishes,
Mhm.
and then you're putting food on it. And if you have hot food, what is happening is those cleaning agents that are on that plate are now seeping into your, because it's steam,
Your
it's
food,
seeping
yeah.
into your food. And now you're consuming the food, which you probably have prepared safely,
Mhm.
right? It's either warm to a certain temperature, but now you're kind of ingesting
Mhm.
those toxins that are on that plate.
And that's
And
amazing because, I mean, how careful can somebody be to get their diet in line and be eating things that are just providing like good nutrition, and
mhm,
and they're buying organic, and no GMOs, and none of this stuff, and then they put it on a plate that has all these chemicals that are now seeping up. It's like using plastic containers to store food in, and especially to reheat food.
to
Like
microwave,
that
right?
that even, I mean, even if it's cold in the refrigerator, those phthalates are sinking into your
Mhm,
food, right? So
right.
it's really counterproductive. Yeah.
It's very counterproductive. And the same thing with your dishwasher.
Hmm.
So when you put your dishes, you rinse them and you put them in your dishwasher, and now you have your dishwasher cleaning your dishes and you have all that steam and all that heat. A lot of times you'll see the steam come out of your dishwasher, right? When it runs through that heated cycle. And what is happening is not only are those chemicals, those toxic chemicals in the product that you're using in your dishwasher kind of sticking on your dishes, but now in a steam form, it's now spraying into the air of your home. So if you walk by that dishwasher at all, or that steam comes down onto your countertops, and you're touching your countertops, or right, we don't know what gets translated from that, but sometimes it has a smell, right? You can walk by your dishwasher, and if you're, depending on what you're using, you smell it. And I used to do it years ago. Wow, that smells good because that's clean.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I
Right.
used to think was,
We've
ooh, that,
almost equated the smell of chemicals to the smell of clean at this
right,
point.
right. And
Nothing
then
could be
that
further from the
steam,
truth.
right.
Yeah.
And then that steam goes down to the ground. And now your fur babies that are
Dogs
down
are
in
licking
the
it
ground
up. Yep.
or licking it, or your babies that are crawling,
Mm-hmm.
or you're walking by it, it's now on your feet,
Mm-hmm.
or you're kind of regenerating that back up into the air. So
Mm-hmm.
your dishes, really your dish soap and your dishwasher detergent,
Mm-hmm.
that is another big key area that you have to buy anyway. So just make a switch to something that is organic, is something that has less toxins in it, or toxic, toxin free
Mm-hmm.
for your dishes. Because like your clothes, they're with you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Your dishes are too. If you think about it, you have a drink, right? If you have water or tea, or if you're drinking something all day, now you have that cup with you that has that. You're
Right.
eating on a plate, you're getting a snack with a fork, right? And so that's another thing that's really a long lasting,
Yeah.
um, that if you, and we talked about saving money. And so some of these products, the one that I use is very concentrated. So you only need just very little of it. So I'm not using a lot of, it on there. I'm not, doing the whole squirt thing, you watching it squirt into your water, um, as well. So, I mean,
And
that's a
because it's
win.
concentrated, now you have much less waste, like plastic waste, that's going into inevitably our air and our drinking water and our salt and everything else that we're taking in, out in the environment, because you've got a more concentrated, packaging that you're dealing
Correct.
with. So that helps our health in a roundabout way, because that comes back to us as well. People don't realize all this stuff that we use, all the stuff that we're washing, all the stuff that we're uh, using in any way, is coming back into our bodies,
Right.
because it goes into our environment and eventually makes it into the food supply, water supply, air supply, and then it goes back into us. So that's how we have, these big concentrations of nanoplastics in our bodies. All of us do. Everybody who's ever been tested for it,
Mm,
over the last several years has had nanoplastics in our bodies. Why? We're not eating them, but we are, because we
mm,
use products like this and we put them into our environment. So that's another huge plus, is just the packaging. And most
yes.
companies, I think, tell me if this is the case, I would think this is the case, it's what I've noticed, most companies that are trying to limit the amount of toxins in our environments anyway through greener cleaning products are also the ones that are caring about packaging too, and
Yes.
will use less or no plastic for packaging, even lining, packages, things like that, like with
Mm-hmm.
BPA or others. So yeah, so that's something a lot of
Refillable
people don't think of.
stuff.
I just wanted to make
Mm-hmm.
that point,
Yeah.
that usually comes along with these healthier household cleaners. So you get, double bang for your buck, and you can, save that buck from having to spend it at the doctor's office later, for, or at, the drugstore for allergy medication or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not going to have, the same number of health concerns going forward having to do with any of this stuff. These things are stressors on our bodies, and they're going to, increase inflammation in the body, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore increase incidence of chronic illness, turn on those chronic illness genes, whatever genes we happen to have,
Right.
for that stuff. So
And then
it's a much bigger thing than just, have two fewer chemicals in your sink because of your dishwashing. Like, it's a
it's
lot
much
bigger than
more.
that. It sounds like it's small, but it's really not. It's really an enormous thing, right?
Right. And it is. And it's something that we can control,
Yes,
because
that's
we
the
can
biggest
control what we
win at
buy.
all. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why I try to work with people to say, don't feel overwhelmed, because we just start small. And once you start small and start replacing little things at a time, you'll notice that I have a lot of people that start feeling a lot better,
Mhm.
and then they kind of get on a roll, and then they start looking at other things. And concentrated stuff has been around for quite a while, but it just depends what it's concentrated with. So concentrated means the removal of unnecessary products, and so unnecessary chemicals that make up that product. So a lot of the stuff, like you were saying, we see on TV and that are on the store shelves, they have a lot of additives in them, like food, and which I know you've talked about as well, to try to keep it to last longer, right? To keep it on the shelves longer. And we don't need that. So when you get concentrated, you get down to really what is it that this product needs, and that's what's in that product. It's concentrated. You can't keep it forever and ever and ever, because you don't want to do that, because that means there's no additives, there's no chemicals in that is going to make it last. And that's what some of your green cleaners do, is they get right down to exactly what does that product need to clean and to be effective, and to stay 8-10 months, a year, no more. I mean, if you look at some of
Mhm.
the cleaning products and they're good for 5 years, that, and you got to wear gloves and masks, well, that makes sense. And we didn't talk about, if you realize when you buy stuff at the stores different, like bleach, you should not be setting that or storing that under your sink with like Windex, because Windex has ammonia in it
I
and bleach
remember
has.
my mom talking to me before, when I was a teenager,
Yes.
before leaving for college, and I'm getting ready to set up, live on my own, right? Set up my own place, and she's talking to me about, okay, you can't let this touch this, you can't use these things
Yes.
together, and don't use it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't want to use any of this because I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to blow up my apartment, right? Like, I remember really being worried about that.
Uh-huh.
And I think that may have been, even maybe the catalyst that, really got me interested in getting away from stuff like that, because I kept thinking there's got to be an easier way than just, using things like, ammonia and, drain
Mm-hmm.
cleaner and things like
Well,
that.
and you need to really take it down to your hazardous waste department of the community that you live in to dispose of it. And, I have a customer of mine, him and his family, and he's a firefighter, and he is very big on that. Like, obviously he knows, being a firefighter, on the different types of agents that are used in homes to cleaning. And he would say, Dawn, there are a lot of fires that are caused by, or if a fire started and then it flares up because of the products that people have in their home, right? And that's scary to think in
It is.
itself, that
Yeah.
if you have bleach, if you have, ammonia, you have different agents that you have to lock up, and then, like you said, you can't have them next to each other. you know that's kind of scary, and we're using that to clean our home.
It
I
doesn't
mean,
make intuitive sense to me. It never
it didn't.
did.
It
Yeah.
it didn't. And so once I realized what was happening, like I said, it's very simple, just to make a few little switches, and then you'll find yourself going, well, what about this? Maybe I should, and you just do little pivots,
Mhm.
right? You just do little pivots
I think that
as
is the
you
key to
can.
success right there.
That's all it is. Even if you make one change, you change out your laundry, and that's what you can do for now, that is huge.
Yeah, it
you
really
know
is. And I think you did an amazing job just explaining how huge that actually is. And that, we really don't think about anything that way. We think about it touching our clothes while it's in the washer, and then it gets washed out and it's gone. And, you just don't think about it being something you're inhaling 24/7, except maybe in the shower, because,
Right?
but as
But
soon as
then you
you,
have it on your
as soon
towel
as you
when you
turn
get
the
out.
water off, there's the towel, right? So, even then it's, so yeah, I mean, it's the fact that this stuff is, our bodies are great at detoxing, and we have many detoxing pathways in our bodies, and they just work incredibly well. But there are so many toxins in our environment right now, especially in our homes. Those cleaning
Yeah.
agents in our homes that our bodies just get overloaded with. And if just our laundry detergent is something we're inhaling 24/7, I mean, think about all the other things you're using in your home that are also being ingested or inhaled in some way, 24/7, touching it, whatever. Like, we can bring things into our bodies in different ways. And
Right.
just think about if just one of those things is a constant, then put all of those together. And that's just what's inside our home. That's just our cleaning products. That's not even getting into the shampoo we're using in the shower, or the soap, or
The
the,
lotion.
whatever. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. The makeup we're putting on every day, the,
Right.
the stuff we're putting in our hair, the self-tanning spray, or what, there are a million things that we use every day, or almost every day, that are in addition to just the laundry detergent. And you start adding all that stuff, and that's just the stuff in the house.
Right. That
Now we
we
have a
have
whole other
control
world.
over to
But
buy.
yeah,
We have total control to buy that.
yes, we do. Yes, we do. And so even if we've got, numbskulls making policies that are not in our best interest, toxin wise, in our environment, we have some control over what's happening, not just by voting for people who actually care about our health, but also with our dollars. And that's something that I think that we forget sometimes. We can
Mhm.
vote with our dollars whenever we
Absolutely.
want to. And what we buy, more of that's going to be made. And you can see that there's been a change, because you see how the organic section of the grocery store has grown over the years. Now, at one
Used to
point,
be
we
like
didn't need
this.
one. Yeah, it used to be like one little row
Yeah.
of stuff. Okay, I got carrots or green beans, which are like,
Right.
right?
Right.
But
Yep.
then, and you didn't see anything in the meat section, because they were just staying quiet. They just want to,
Right.
get
Sell
us.
meat.
Yeah,
Yep.
and yeah, like it's just meat. It's just meat. Don't ask any more questions. It's just meat, right? And so, now it's like you have whole big sections of the grocery store that, and you have, like, in poultry products, you can't have hormones like that. There are certain products now that you just cannot put them out there for the public consumption, with certain toxins in them. And so, and that's because we were only buying certain things because we had been made aware of problems with some of the things that we were eating, the chemicals, the pesticides on the foods that we were eating. And
Yes.
so more and more people decided that was important, and they wanted to live better lives, instead of having, the steady decline into death, that we see so often in our society now,
Yeah.
right? Humans,
Uh-huh.
I mean, for 2.5 million years, humans have, like, been perfectly healthy, and then one day just drop dead. And now that may be at 20 with a stubbed toe, because that was a death sentence back then, right? But
Right.
they could live up to 93 years old, and then
Wow.
drop dead one day. That was how humans lived until the fairly just a few,
Mhm.
tens of thousands of years. Now we see this steady decline into death, and that's very recent. And we're hitting medications and surgeries all along the way, right? And
Right.
that's not what we want. But I think that kind of slope really may have a lot to do with the chemicals that are in our environment, anything that's
Absolutely.
toxic that we're taking in, because we're breathing it, we're eating it, we're absorbing it from our skin. We're, just in every way, we're absorbing these things. And most of
Mhm.
us really we think, well, if they're out there, they can't be that bad.
Right. If they sell it at the store, it has to be okay. Or if it says number one pediatrician recommended, it has to be good because that pediatrician knows what's best for my family and my kid because it says on there. That's what I got sucked up into
Mhm.
early on as a new mom because I didn't know. And I just kind of did what my mom did. My mom did what her mom did,
Right.
right? And then now
Right.
you have this new detergent that says number one pediatrician recommended, and I'm supposed to use it to wash my kids' clothes, but I'm still going to wash my clothes in something else. And
Yeah.
so back then it never made sense to me why I needed two different laundry detergents,
Uh-huh.
but I did it because it said number one pediatrician recommended
Mhm.
until I started researching and finding out, wait a minute, we should all be able to wash our clothes in the same
Right.
product and have it be non-toxic. It
Right.
shouldn't matter if you're a little one or a big one, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And
And
so
I
that's
I think
kind of
that's a
what
really
my
good
mind
point.
started thinking.
We do a lot of things without researching them first, just because we know
Yes.
that other people did, or that's the tradition, or
Yes.
that's what we're comfortable with because we've seen it before. And
Mhm.
nothing could be further from the truth. It's like that old adage of, your or story where, the kid was asking his mom, well, why are you cutting the ends off the roast when you put it in the pan before you roast it? Well, because my mom did that. And so he asked his grandmother, Grandma, why do you do that? Why do you cut the ends of the roast off first before you bake it? Well, because my mom did that. And come to find out, that mom did it because that's what she had to do to fit it in the
Fit in
pan.
the pan.
Right?
Exactly.
There's no other reason for that. Like, you have no idea what the reason is behind using one product versus another unless you research it and you really see what are the
Right.
differences between these two things and which one is going to be safer for myself and my family.
Right. And asking other people that have had experiences with, I mean, we do that with everything else, right?
Yes.
We'll say, hey, what did you think of that? What did you think of that? I mean, we're really good at asking people's opinions, or
Right.
people that bought something at the store. They have no problem telling us what they think, or a place that they went. Hey,
Right.
I just went to this, cool media creator place, and
Right.
you got to check this out. I mean,
Right.
we're so big on that. But then
Right.
when it comes to such small things about laundry detergent, we don't
Right.
think to
That
do
we
that.
think
We're
are
like,
small.
we're like,
But then
oh,
we have to be careful who we're asking and what their response is too, because if
exactly.
somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I love this shampoo because it really foams up a lot of I get lots of suds on my head." Well, that's because there's lots of toxic,
Yes, additives.
detergent in it. That's what
Mm-hmm.
detergent does, right? The additives
Right.
in the detergent is what
Yep.
gives you all that, and so you can have cleaning agents that don't, suds up at all. And people
Right.
think, oh, I've heard people say this. Oh, I didn't like that at all because it doesn't suds up. It doesn't clean very well. And,
That's
and
that's the
that's,
customers I've had.
and
Yeah.
I've heard that a number of times. And the truth of the matter is you don't need suds to clean anything. Like, it's
Right.
not a suds issue. It's a, it's the
Right.
cleaner itself that makes the difference.
But that's just educating them on the paradigm shift of, like you said, what additive is in there and what is the purpose of
Yeah.
that, as opposed to what is a cleaner that's going to do the job that it's supposed to do.
So,
Those are
Dawn,
the
let me ask
differences.
you to elaborate on that a little bit. How many ingredients should be in a cleaning product? Like, with food, it's pretty easy to say the more ingredients, the worse it is for you, because it's processed nonsense, right? That's just going to cause
Right.
inflammation and stress. But with cleaning products, I know there are, like, vinegar has one ingredient, lemon juice has one ingredient,
Right.
salt has one ingredient. Those are things I clean with all the time. Baking soda, has one ingredient. But
Right.
are there any cleaning products that are like really complex and have tons of ingredients in them and are still okay? Or is that kind of a decent, rule of thumb to use for cleaning products as well as for food?
Well, I think it's a little different than for food, because food is grown, right, organically, and so sometimes food, it's what's added to the food to enhance the food, right? So
Right.
we don't need apples to be this big. Right? You just need to grow an
Right.
apple and have it be an apple size.
Right.
With some of your cleaning products, I mean, depending on what the cleaning product needs to do, right? So if you have 4 or 5 ingredients, maybe for a laundry detergent, because your one laundry detergent is going to do everything. It's going to be a whitener. It's going to be, a stain remover. It's going to be all of that. So there may be more natural chemicals in that, or ingredients in that, to try to help, because you don't want to use so many other agents.
Right.
A couple things, like with vinegar, you have to be careful because it's acidic. And so you wouldn't use vinegar on your furniture. You don't use vinegar, right? And so lemon juice is the same way. Lemon juice is very acidic. And so some people use that on certain things, but again, you wouldn't use straight lemon juice
Mhm.
on wood,
And baking
right?
soda is basic, so the
Is
alkaline.
basic.
So as far as you can go alkaline, yeah. So different. You have to use each one for different types of cleaning. Whereas
Yes.
maybe an all-purpose cleaner would have different amounts of different natural substances, that it would have more ingredients in there, but you could use it on more things. Is that correct?
You can use it on more things. And then, like a concentrated one that I use, the formula is concentrated, and then I have different bottle mixes for it. So I'll have a window mix to clean our windows and our mirrors. And then I'll have an all-purpose mix, which
Mhm.
I'll use to dust with. And so I just use the formula differently, with the
I have
different
one of
mix
those as well. So
amount.
one of the cleaners that I use, you can do it, half, cut it half with water, to use as an antimicrobial, like to clean
Yep.
the viruses we're trying to get rid
Uh-huh.
of and stuff. But if you use more and more water, it's still a really good cleaning agent, but it's not going to be so strong. It's not going to be
Yes.
doing any kind of antimicrobial sort of work,
Uh-huh.
but it's a great all-purpose cleaner. So
Yeah, and then
yeah.
that cleaner is great because it's going to save in the packaging because you
Mhm.
can use it for multi things. It's concentrated, so you use it for multi things,
Mhm.
and it's going to clean multi things. And so rather than having 8 bottles of different stuff to do different things, you can use that one bottle that's going to take care of, A, B, and C.
Right.
And then maybe you have one other paste of some sort or something, if you have tougher stains, or
Right.
maybe a little something different for your toilet, and then that's it. And you've got 3 products to clean your entire house, and people are like, there's no way, like, I need this
Yeah.
for my toilets
Right.
and this for that. And I go, and
That's
I
what
get
we're
that.
told. Now the
I was
commercials and
there.
everything. We need a
I did
separate
it.
product for every little bit of cleaning that we do,
Right.
for every different surface, for every
and
different
you don't
everything.
and you don't have to have that. If, like you said, if you find a good multi-purpose cleaner that can knock out some of those, you're taking away a ton of products themselves,
Right.
and then you only need 2, 3, maybe 4, not including your laundry, cleaning. Because if you have your dishwasher and, that kind of stuff, that can just now take the space. And then some people are so happy that they don't have to have all this space underneath
Mhm.
their sink that's taken up all
Right.
the
You
products.
don't need, everybody wants so much storage in the kitchen. And it's like, well, you don't need all that storage if you don't have all that stuff that you don't
Right.
need, right? Yeah.
Right.
It's like you
Yeah.
start hoarding cleaning products, right? Like you just have so much stuff.
Right.
And I remember going under my sink at one point thinking, I don't even know what's in here anymore. Like there's
Right.
just so
And
much
then how
stuff.
scary that they're all together and you don't know, because out of the
Yes, they could
nozzle,
be impacting each
the
other.
fumes.
Yes.
Yeah, the fumes come out of the
That's a
nozzle,
good point.
that
Yeah. I never
stuff.
thought of that. And I'm glad I didn't, because it would have freaked me out. But yeah, that's a really
Oh,
good
me
point.
too.
And I want everybody to think about that for a second, because that's a big deal.
Uh-huh.
Potentially a really big deal.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Awesome. So anything else that you want people to know about, household cleaners and what they can do inside their homes that can really, help them improve their health?
like we said, just take it one thing at a time, just research a little bit. And I know you and I've talked about, be careful where you research things, and be careful where you read stuff. If any of your listeners have any questions, they can obviously reach out to me. Like I said, I'll share
I'm going
the,
to put your information in the show
okay.
notes here, because yeah, it
Yeah.
makes as someone who is a professional researcher by training, I can tell you there's a lot of good research and there's a lot of bad research.
Yes.
And if you're
And you can
not,
get overwhelmed.
you can get overwhelmed, and unless you know how to read research, and let me tell you, if you haven't
Yes,
gone down the rigors of a research career path, you don't know how to read research. Just trust me on this one, and
exactly.
talk to somebody who does. And so I want to put your information in the show notes, so that if
Okay.
anybody has any questions about anything or wants some help, they can get in touch with you directly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would just say, just start slow. Just start one thing at a time. Just start switching stuff over or asking questions, and it's not intimidating. It's
It's
not.
incredibly easy, actually.
It's easy.
Yeah.
And once you kind of get on a roll, you'll kind of get used to what you're looking for. And then you'll kind of see how it really does work. Because I used to think like bleach was the only smell that meant my house was clean.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I had switched products over and there was no smell, but yet my children were feeling better, my husband who had suffered with asthma, I started switching, like you had said, some of the other products out. We didn't have some allergy flare-ups, and I saw it was working.
Mm-hmm.
And then that whole bleach smell was false, because
Yep.
bleach smell did not mean clean. My
Yeah.
house was clean, but my
Yeah.
house was healthy.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
And
that's,
and
we
that's
got
and
to
that's
get
really
that out
good.
of our mind.
Yes, absolutely. And with right now, I hear people talk about cleaning products. Like, this is one of the reasons I wanted to get you on now, is because I mean, people are living in bleach right now. Like, it's amazing.
Oh,
Everybody's, freaking out about getting the virus out of their homes. And, let me tell you, we can't hide from a virus. Like, at any given time, we've got like 20,000 viruses on us and in us and around us. So,
right.
that's just, they're so small, and they just get everywhere. And so that's not the point, is to get away from it completely, but it is to minimize impact, so that, and to create a less hospitable host for them,
Right.
by taking better care of yourself and your immune system, so that you can fight off any little invaders that come your way. The problem is when you get a big dose of them and you don't have a good immune system to fight them off. Now you're going to have a problem, right? So what
Yes.
people are doing is, even if they're very low risk, even if they keep their place, clean, they're taking precautions. I've been out twice in the last 2.5 months. I went to get my hair done a couple weeks ago. Oh, I went to the dentist too, so 3 times. I was the only one in the place. And then today I got my nails done, which was like, it couldn't come soon enough for me. And they were just like growing out of control. It was crazy. I have an injury. I can't get my toes. So like, anyway, I was so glad to be there. But I'm like really low risk, and I'm probably a much worse host for the virus than a lot of other people, but I don't know, so I'm taking
Right.
precautions. But I'm also not, I have groceries delivered and stuff. I'm not wiping down the countertops with bleach and stuff like that. There's no way
Right.
you're going to see me doing that. I do have a
Right.
natural cleaner that is antimicrobial, and so I'll use that on occasion when I want to make sure that I'm being a little extra careful.
Hmm.
When my office, I see people in my office, and so I use that on my recliner and the surfaces that
Yes.
people coming in would touch, after each client, just to make sure that, because I want to be extra careful with other people. And
Hmm.
so, but I am not using any kind of nasty chemical. It is a completely natural substance, and it's not. It even smells good. Like, it doesn't have that chemical-y smell. It smells natural. It smells like it should, like some natural cleaner should. And so it's nice, and I'm not putting chemicals into my environment for the sake of being virus free. You don't have to do that. So I
Right.
just wanted to make a point of telling people, you don't have to get the bleach wipes and stuff to wipe everything down. That is overkill. And in fact, it's putting more toxins into your environment that can harm you. So, if you really take some time to talk to someone like Dawn, or to, read the labels of things and see that there aren't any toxic chemicals, you don't have to worry about wearing gloves and stuff when you use it. Then, use that. That's something that you'll find something that's effective for whatever you need, that's in a natural, toxic free category. Right? Is there anything you can think of that anybody would have to use some kind of toxic substance for?
No.
Good, because I can't think of
Yeah.
anything. So I was hoping that you would say that. Yeah, good, excellent. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
and one thing that we really didn't touch on a lot was, like you said, was your immune system. And, people nowadays, those that are in the high risk categories that have the really low immune system or the compromised immune system, it concerns me when they use bleach and they use because they think that they have to because they're in that group.
really good point.
In essence, they should be the last people that
Agreed.
should be in that, because of what that can do to an already compromised immune system, or
Right.
what it can do to a healthy immune system. It just kind of
Yes.
breaks it down a little bit more,
It,
right?
you,
So,
you you have to think about those toxic ingredients as stressors to the body, and those will take your immune system down. And you don't want that. You want a healthy, happy immune system, and you can't get that by putting toxins into your body. You cannot
right.
get it. You're gonna defeat the purpose. So thank you for that. Yes, that's very
Yep.
important right now. I don't want to see people using nasty chemicals to try to stay healthy, because they're defeating the purpose. It's going
Yes.
against what they actually need. You want to stay healthy, go out and get some sunshine, and and play in the park, and do that kind of thing, and use a non-toxic cleaner at home. Open the windows whenever you can to get some fresh air in and out, so that any virus particles, any of that stuff, the fumes that have built up in the house, anything that may not be great for you to be breathing, goes out the window, right? Like,
Right.
one of the things when they had the plague in Europe, way back when, the turning point when everybody started turning around and getting healthy and recovering from the plague, was when they realized, you know what? It's actually helpful not to shut everybody in, but to open the windows and get some fresh air in. That was the turning point of the plague in Europe. So, the more we take care of ourselves and think about what is stressing out our bodies and our minds, because they're the same thing, and we need to get rid of as many stressors on us as we can. So that think about, toxin and immune system as, polar opposites there. They're the same thing, but just separate ends. So anything that's toxic is going to decrease immune function. Anything that's a stressor of any kind, including toxins, and anything that is non-toxic is going to help improve the immune system potentially, because you're not bringing it down with the toxic stuff.
Yeah, no,
right?
That's a great point. Yeah, absolutely.
So think of toxins as stressors on the body that will decrease immune function. And, the more you get away from them, the better off you're going to be. So I'm going to put your information in the show notes, like I said, so that we can get with you. And folks, if you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to get in touch with Dawn. That's what she's here for. She's been doing this for 10 years, helping people toss their toxins. And improve their immune systems in the process. And this is a huge deal. It's a much bigger deal than we're ever led to believe, because people make a lot of money off of those toxins.
Oh boy.
And the medical bills that come with them eventually, and all, everything that goes with that. It's all big industry, and a lot of people make a lot of money on it, and we're the ones that suffer. So that's kind of my big motive of getting a lot of this stuff out there, is to let you guys see that there are motives other than people looking out for us that we are subject to, and we need to do our research, and we need to understand who the right people are to talk to really improve our health, to get rid of the stressors that are on us, that are taking us down slowly throughout our lives. And this is one of the big ways that we can really improve our health, is by cleaning up our cleaning products. So anything else you want to leave with, or do you want to let people know kind of where they can find you? Do you have a website? I'll put it in the show notes too, but what is the website they can find you at?
Yeah, I do. So I'm at www.greenqcmom.com. And so that's just kind of a general website, but you can always hit the contact info, and you can email me, call me, text me. Sometimes the website can be a little bit, overwhelming. People don't really know where to start. So if they want to email me, and we can put my email address in there, I filter a lot of questions that way, and then we can talk on the phone, and then I can send specific links and specific information to what it is that you're looking for. So that way it's not so overwhelming in the beginning, and then we kind of get you on a path of where you can kind of look at stuff, and then, you're able to expand a little bit more that way.
Good.
Too.
And when people are thinking, when you guys are thinking about, where to start, one of the things that I want you to not hesitate to tell Dawn about is if you have any particular health problems.
Yes.
Because, for example, if you have a problem with your liver, or with your kidney, or with, various different body parts do different things in terms of detoxing. And so, like, your liver is the main detoxifying organ in your body. And so if you're having some liver problems, maybe you're going to want to move through this faster and really make your liver happier faster. And really, if you can, get rid of everything you're using now and replace it all immediately. And Dawn can help you with that. She can get you on a whole new path immediately.
Yeah. They have a kit. We can just get you a starter kit, and it kind of does it all at once for you.
So if you've got some problems, like some organ problems that have to do with elimination pathways, with detoxing the body, you're going to want to turn over to all green cleaning products sooner rather than later. So things like that. If you have asthma, allergies, or anyone in your family has any of those problems, any autoimmune problems, those are all indicative of toxins, and that a lot of which are coming from our home environment. So don't be afraid to let her know about that, because she's been there. She knows what that's like. That's what got her started. And as someone who's had a number of those problems myself throughout the years, I can tell you it's, when your mom starts cleaning with the right cleaning products, it's really good for you too. So, so that was my experience. So, Dawn, thank you so much for being here and chatting with us for a bit. It's always really good to talk to you, whether we're talking about, work related stuff or not. It's just cool to talk to you. So thanks a lot. And, I'll put all the information you need, as well as, you said you had a sheet that you were going to send me.
So I'm working on, and I'll get that to you here. I'm working on just some tips. 5 to
Nice.
7 tips on just, how to get to a greener home that are not overwhelming, just some easy tips that we can switch over. So I'm working on that.
Perfect.
And, as soon as I get that up and going, I'll shoot that over to you and you can post that with this as well. So we might have
Perfect.
to
I'll
add
do
it
that.
later to
Yeah.
it, just depending
Yeah.
on when it gets
Yeah.
posted. But
So I'll edit. If you don't see it down there right now, it'll be there as soon as
yeah.
possible. I'll make sure that I edit the show notes so that it reflects that. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, contact Dawn or contact me. I can get you in touch with Dawn. Thanks again, and have a
Okay.
wonderful day. And thanks you guys for paying attention. And thank you for wanting to clean up your environment some more, because it helps everybody else. The more
Everyone.
we clean up our own environments, the more we're helping the others around us in a couple different ways. One is we're putting less toxins out there into the world that other people are going to wind up, bringing into their systems. And we're voting with our dollars. We're making sure that, there are more green products available, more
Yes.
alternatives that are healthier for us, and less of that toxic stuff even on the market. So thanks all you guys. Hope everybody has a great day, and take care.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Bye.